Welcome back to another episode of No Shame with Shane, where the takes have no lies, no bias, but most importantly, no shame. I'm your host, Shane Fordham. Now, look, my birds are 6-2, flying high into the bye week. It's a great time to be an Eagles fan right now. You know, I'm looking at this game and just so many good things, but I gotta say this before I start. And I know a lot of y'all are gonna be mad at me for saying this. I know a lot of y'all are gonna say, "Well, how could you say such a terrible thing?" There's no way you could have watched this game against the Giants. There's no way you could have been watching football for the past couple of weeks. And like Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. Like I don't think there's any getting around it at this point. I don't think there's any argument against it. Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate. Jalen Hurts has played two of the best games back to back that we have seen this season of football. Like, and people will say, well, these two games can't just erase the rest of the season. Jalen Hurts, even though he hasn't looked flashy this season, it's not like he's looked awful. Like, Jalen Hurts' lows are not the same as lows for other guys. Like, lows for other guys are racking up 2 to 3 turnovers a game, while not breaking 200 passing yards, having little to no touchdowns, losing, like Jalen Hurts, the lows for Jalen Hurts are not the same as lows for other guys. Lows for Jalen Hurts is maybe, getting 150 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. Maybe 1 turnover, if that, but still getting a win. Like that's a low for Jalen Hurts. A low for Jalen Hurts is still winning games. A low for Jalen Hurts is still taking care of the football. A low for Jalen Hurts is still putting points on the board. A low for Jalen Hurts is still leading this offense to be productive. A low for Jalen Hurts is still tallying at least 1 to 2 touchdowns a game. Like that's a low for Jalen Hurts. A low for other quarterbacks, for most other quarterbacks, is not the same as a low for Jalen Hurts. Like, yes, Jalen Hurts has had lows. He does have 1 bad game on the season so far against the Giants, but he's definitely redeemed himself this season from that game. Like, Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate this season. He's an MVP candidate right now. Like, there's no way you could see you're watching these games and not see Jalen Hurts as an MVP candidate right now. Right now, Jalen Hurts is the only person, like, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the NFL right now that has a perfect passer rating on the year. He's the only quarterback since 2009 to throw for 325 passing yards and above on 25 or less attempts. He's the first quarterback as of this week. He's the first quarterback in NFL history with at least 15 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, with only 1 interception, only 1 turnover on the year. Like, Jalen Hurts, while you all will say this is not an overly impressive season for Jalen Hurts, in a season that you all deem is not overly impressive, Jalen Hurts is still making history. Jalen Hurts is still accomplishing things that other quarterbacks have not. Jalen Hurts is still etching his name in the history books of the NFL, in all of football. Like, Jalen Hurts, a low point for Jalen Hurts is still making history, which is wild. It's crazy. Jalen Hurts is an MVP candidate easily. And honestly, I would say in that MVP conversation, the only person that really has a case above Jalen Hurts right now is Dak Prescott, just individually. He has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns. He has a higher average QBR. Any other quarterback right now that's in that race, they either don't have as many wins, they either don't have as many touchdowns, they either have more turnovers on the year, more total turnovers on the year than Jalen Hurts, or they don't have as many passing yards. Like, there's only one, like, most other quarterbacks in the NFL right now can't say that they have more than what Jalen Hurts has in a lot of those categories. Dak Prescott is really the only quarterback right now that can say he is beating Jalen Hurts in multiple passing categories right now, aside from the win column. And even looking at Dak Prescott, he's 3-3 on the year right now. He doesn't have a winning season. So even the guy that has the best case on Jalen Hurts right now for MVP doesn't have the W's to match that. Doesn't have the winning record to go with that. MVP usually goes to the best player on the best team. It usually goes to the best player on the best team. Right now, the best team in the NFL are the Eagles. There are other teams that are playing well. Colts are playing well. The Bucs overall are playing well. You know, the Rams are playing well for the most part. The Chiefs have been playing well for the most part. But the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now. And the reason why they've been winning the games they've won is in big part due to Jalen Hurts. It's mostly to Jalen Hurts. With the defense being inconsistent, with the run game being shut down, with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith not being as involved in the offensive scheme as they should be, there's only one place to point. There's only one other place to point the finger, and it's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the main reason why the Eagles have been winning games this year. Not a lot of other things have been going right on the field so far this season for the Eagles as consistently as Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Jalen Hurts is the best player on the best team, which means he should be a candidate at the very least, if not the front runner for MVP. Right now, Jalen Hurts, no question, should be the front runner for MVP right now. Seventh in passing touchdowns, no interceptions in the last 2 games. Jalen Hurts has looked better in the last 2 games than any other quarterback in the NFL. 7 touchdowns and no turnovers whatsoever. Right now, total on the year, he has 15 total touchdowns, 1 interception on the season. He's tied for 3rd in touchdowns. He's the 3rd highest passer rating. He's the 4th highest touchdown. He is the 4th highest touchdown percentage. He is the 5th most air yards per completion. He has the 6th best completion rate in the NFL. And he's the first quarterback in NFL history with at least 15 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and only 1 interception on the season. Jalen Hurts should be the front runner for MVP this year. He should be the front runner for MVP, especially when you consider the fact that he is playing as good as he is now going into a bye week. He's going to be fresh he's going to be fresh to see the Packers on Monday Night Football coming out of the bye week. Based on his trajectory right now, Jalen Hurts will be the MVP of the 2025 NFL season. Jalen Hurts should be the MVP 100%. And especially when you look at this last game, like Jalen Hurts, and we've been saying this for years, Jalen Hurts is a winner. Jalen Hurts is going to do what it takes to win games. People have said, oh, he only wins games because of Saquon Barkely. He only wins games because he has A.J. Brown. He only wins games because of the defense. No A.J. Brown this week. What does Jalen Hurts do? He throws for 4 touchdowns, and he gets a W on the day. 4 touchdowns, a 141 passer rating, and a W. Jalen Hurts is going to win games regardless of who's on the field. He's going to win games regardless of who's on the field. Jalen Hurts in this game against the Giants, he looked poised. He took care of the ball. He played within the system. He was a playmaker, but he also spread the ball around to different guys. Jalen Hurts has been dangerous. Jalen Hurts has proved how dangerous he is through the air, especially in these last 2 weeks. No A.J. Brown, that's fine. He cooks with Jahan Dotson. No A.J. Brown, that's fine. He cooks with Dallas Goedert. No A.J. Brown, that's fine. He cooks with Devonta Smith. Jalen Hurts is going to do what he needs to do to win games. Like, honestly, if you look at Jalen Hurts should be an MVP candidate because of just what he has been able to do this year. Like, if you look at other guys that are kind of front runners for MVP right now, when you think about MVP front runners, you think Baker Mayfield, you think Sam Darnold, you think Dak Prescott, maybe before this week against the Broncos. Like, you think about certain guys, you think about Daniel Jones. Like, if you're looking at those guys specifically in comparison to Jalen Hurts, none of those quarterbacks can say that they have as many total touchdowns as Jalen Hurts and fewer turnovers. None of those guys I just named, Baker, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott, none of those guys can say they have more total touchdowns and fewer turnovers. None of them can say that. Jalen Hurts should be the MVP frontrunner right now because of the way he's putting numbers on the board, because of the way he's moving the ball through the air, because of the way he's taking care of the football, and because of the way he's winning games. And honestly, seeing what Jalen Hurts did without A.J. Brown this week against the Giants, like, those, like, people who watched football this weekend and aren't willing to give Jalen Hurts his flowers are hypocrites. They're hypocrites because there's no way you can watch Jalen Hurts do what he did without his receiver one and not give him credit for that, because any other quarterback in that situation is getting and has already gotten the praise. Baker Mayfield performs without Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. He gets the praise. Daniel Jones plays good for the first time in like 3 years and he gets the praise. Mahomes performs without Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. He gets the praise. Matt Stafford performs without Puka Nacua. He gets the praise. Dak Prescott performs without CeeDee Lamb. He gets the praise. Like, Hurts deserves that same type of energy, that same type of praise with what he did against the Giants without A.J. Brown. If all of those other quarterbacks can get praised for performing the way that they did, playing the way that they played without their go-to guys, without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, without Puka Nacua, without CeeDee Lamb, if those guys can get praised for performing the way they did without their go-to guys, then Jalen Hurts should get that same level of praise. He should get that same level of praise. 4 touchdowns, a 141 passer rating, where A.J. Brown played 0 snaps through all 4 quarters. Jalen Hurts deserves that same level of praise. 100%. 100%. And, looking at that and looking at someone else in that offense, someone else who I've been praising heavily this season and in the offseason, Jahan Dotson. I tried to tell you all what Jahan Dotson was capable of in this offense if he got targets consistently. I know it's hard to get the ball around to everyone, especially when you're trying to make sure you get A.J. Brown the targets that he needs. Trying to make sure Devonta Smith is included, is involved in the offense. Still trying to help out the run game a little bit, I told you all what Jahan Dotson was capable of as a number 3 receiver on this team. Jahan Dotson honestly might be the best number 3 receiver in the NFL. He's a number 3 receiver that on almost any other team could be a number 2. Jahan Dotson with 1 target Jahan Dotson with only 2 targets and 1 reception notches 40 yards and a touchdown. Off 2 targets and 1 reception, Jahan Dotson makes one of the biggest plays of the game. One of the best catches in all of this week. Jahan Dotson is honestly underrated as a talent at that receiver position. Jahan Dotson honestly is a receiver 2 playing at the receiver 3 spot. With more targets in this offense, Jahan Dotson could no doubt cement himself as the best number 3 receiver in the NFL and honestly solidify the Eagles as the best receiver trio in the NFL. Because there's very few balls that Jahan Dotson is not capable of catching. Like, Jahan Dotson has probably one of the more underrated catch radiuses in the NFL. Especially for his build, for his stature. Like, Jahan Dotson is dangerous. And especially with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback, Jahan Dotson is honestly a sleeper. With only, like, there's no question Jahan Dotson is the best number 3 receiver in the NFL. With only 2 targets and 1 reception, Dotson tallies 40 yards and a touchdown in one play. In one play. Imagine what Jahan Dotson would be. Imagine the numbers Jahan Dotson could put up if he was targeted more consistently in the offense. If he was able to get more touches within the offense, which would mean the Eagles would have to pass at a higher volume. But imagine what Jahan Dotson's production could be like with more attention in the scheme. It's honestly scary to think about because this offense hasn't even come close to scratching its potential yet. But we're seeing multiple guys in this unit that are capable of doing great things. Jahan Dotson, guys like Jahan Dotson, who off 2 targets can convert a 40-yard touchdown catch. Guys like Dallas Goedert, who once they get the targets, can be guys who can notch 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. Guys like Tank Bigsby, once they get an opportunity, showing what they can do, being game changers in key moments of the game, bailing the Eagles offense out on 2nd and 31. Like, that's like, this Eagles offense hasn't even begun to scratch the surface, to scratch the surface of its potential. And it's already one of, if not the best overall offense in the NFL. Like, honestly, and looking at Tank Bigsby, speaking of, Tank Bigsby should have been the running back 2 weeks ago. Like, it honestly took way too long for Tank Bigsby to get involved to have this big of a role in the offense. It took way too long. Like, Tank Bigsby, honestly, in this game, he showed that he could be a perfect complement to Saquon Barkely. He's not as skilled as Saquon Barkely. He's not as explosive or as untouchable in open field as Saquon Barkely, obviously. But he showed that he does have that second gear, that sort of downhill running that could be the perfect complement to the big play factor of Saquon Barkely. Tank Bigsby should have been running back 2, should have been the RB2 weeks ago. Took way too long for him to be involved. And honestly, looking at the way Tank Bigsby played in this game, he honestly showed a different type of gear that we didn't really see from him in Jacksonville. Like, the breakaway speed that he had on that 2nd and 31 play, on that 2nd and forever play, he showed a second gear that we didn't really get to see in Jacksonville. Like, a different level of explosion. The way he was able to, like, his combination of speed and his yards after contact ability, his ability to break tackles in the open field, to that the type of ability where you need more than one guy to bring him down. Like, showing that combination of ability that he showed on that 2nd and forever play, it showed just the potential he has as the RB2 for this offense. Like, honestly, like, that was one of the most impressive plays by the Eagles overall this year, was that run by Tank Bigsby. Definitely a guy we should have seen more of a lot sooner after he was brought into Philly, as opposed to when we did actually see him. Like, I honestly think with the way the flashes Tank Bigsby showed in this game against the Giants, the Eagles honestly could have the best 1-2 punch in the backfield in the NFL. Like, I honestly think the Eagles' run attack could be up there on par with that of the Lions, with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Now, I know Tank Bigsby has a way to go before we can put him on David Montgomery's level with how he's looked, especially since going to Detroit from Chicago. But with with the flashes we saw in Tank Bigsby, the plays he was able to make, I definitely think that the potential of that duo, they definitely have the potential as a duo to be on par, if not better, than that of the Lions. Because Saquon Barkley is obviously already a better overall running back than Jahmyr Gibbs. No question. I think Tank Bigsby, with what he showed, has the ability to at least match David Montgomery. And if Tank Bigsby can match David Montgomery and Saquon Barkley is better than Jahmyr Gibbs, I think no question the Eagles could have a better run attack, a better 1-2 punch in that running back room than the Lions. I think Saquon Barkley and Tank Bigsby could definitely be the best running back duo in the NFL with what we saw from Tank Bigsby against the Giants. 100%. And I'm just super excited to see how this, I mean, it's just because I'm just super excited to see what this offense is able to do coming out of the bye week, because every week this offense has gotten better. Like, aside from that Giants game, this offense has taken steady steps forward. But a big part of that is the play calling. I gotta admit, this was a great great game offensive play calling wise for Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo had a great outing against the Giants. This was a great game for Kevin Patullo as the offensive play caller. I got to give him credit. Like, in past games, the play calling hasn't made sense. I guess we've been more of a run heavy offense against teams we should not have been as run heavy against, but in this game against the Giants, it made sense. Using the run as much as we did, utilizing Tank Bigsby as much as we did to sort of reinforce that run game made sense because of the Giants defense. The Giants defense is one of the worst run stop defenses in the NFL. Even though now they are a defense that has one of the best D lines in the NFL, but one of the best ways to neutralize a pass rush is to run the ball. Screens, RPOs, read options, and running the ball down your throat are the best ways to neutralize a pass rush, and Kevin Patullo did that. Kevin Patullo eliminated the best aspect of this Giants team with the way he called plays. Kevin Patullo's game plan for this Giants game, it eliminated that front four for the Giants. It eliminated the best unit on this entire Giants team. The play calling is definitely a big reason why we won this game, because once we were able to wear down the defense with the run game, with Saquon Barkley getting a home run play like we saw a lot of last season, Tank Bigsby being able to have as big of an impact as he had in this game, it opened up the passing game where Jalen Hurts was able to take shots down the field and hit Jahan Dotson and hit Dallas Goedert and hit Devonta Smith. Like, the Kevin Patullo's play calling in this game made sense, and it allowed the passing game to flourish. Kevin Patullo had not only a balanced offensive game plan this week, but he had one that was actually logical and made sense for the opponent that we were facing. We were going up against a pass rush heavy defense, a defense that really lives and dies by that D line, by their ability to rattle a quarterback. He was able to neutralize that impact. He was able to neutralize that unit within the Giants defense by running the ball. Kevin Patullo neutralized this Giants defense through smart play calling. And if Kevin Patullo can keep doing that, can keep applying that strategy, not just doing what he's most comfortable with, but doing but doing what works according to the opponent that he's facing, I don't see the Eagles losing another game this season. If Kevin Patullo can continue to have that sort of balanced play calling style that is adaptive to who his opponent is, the Eagles aren't losing another game. If we see another defense that lives and dies by the pass rush, Kevin Patullo needs to lean on the run like he did against the Giants. If we see a defense that has a weaker secondary, like units that we have seen in previous weeks this season, Kevin Patullo needs to let Jalen Hurts air it out. Needs to let these offensive weapons that we have in A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, Jahan Dotson, and Dallas Goedert, needs to let them actually put the work in. Needs to actually put them in a position to produce. If Kevin Patullo can keep that sort of play calling and mindset going in terms of an offensive game plan, if he can keep that balanced mindset, moving forward, the Eagles aren't losing another game this season. They're not losing another game this season. But that's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. And I will be back later on with more shameless takes.